Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Impact Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Bright. This is a show where we meet exceptional people taking bold steps to create a positive impact in the world. If you're seeing this or hearing it, please give us a follow or subscribe on whatever platform you're using. Big shout out to our sponsor, MakerTank. MakerTank is the all-in-one command center for founders and small business owners ready to ditch the chaos and scale with clarity. MakerTank allows you to centralize, automate, and actually run your business without drowning in busy work. Please visit makertank.com today to join the exclusive Founders Waitlist. All right, so let's dive into today's show. I'm very excited about you everyone meeting this individual. Today's guest is a serial inventor, unapologetic disruptor, and the founder and CEO of Worksport, the company fusing clean tech with tough trucks to build a better future. With over 100 patents and I'm sure over 50 million raised and zero interest in playing by the rules, he's proving you can scale a company and a conscious at the same time. So everyone, please put your hands together for my guest, Steven Rossi. Yay! I need like sound effects.
Hi, Ashley. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, my friend? It has been a long time, I feel like, at least 4 or 5 months.
Too long, too long. I keep meaning to. I think we keep both meaning to re-engage and just kind of ping each other, but life just grabs you by the whiskers sometimes, and it's always good that paths converge again with people that are meaningful.
I agree. I agree. And I mean, I know you have a ton of things going on there. I can only imagine what your schedule looks like on a day-to-day basis. Just the logistics of like being based in Canada, but your business is based in the US and you're back and forth and all the other chaos that might come with that. So I'm curious, first of all, like give us a high level view of Worksport. I'm obviously very familiar, but I'd love for everyone else to understand why I am so impressed with the work that you are doing.
Okay, yeah. Where do I start? So I, I I've been in business since I was 18, and fell in love with automotive.
Mm.
At a certain point, I really was introduced to pickups like the F-150 lifestyle, and I'd fallen in love. And I started selling tonneau covers for pickup trucks, and I thought after a little while, and here in Toronto, I was doing quite well with it, but I thought pricing is going up, or the cost for these units are going up. Quality seems to be going down. So I saw that it was a perfect intersection for opportunity. So I was young, I had a lot to gain and very little to lose. So I decided to sell my businesses and dump all that money into Worksport. And Worksport's intention at that point, I mean, I'm in my early 20s here. And my intention at that point was to just import tonneau covers from China and go around to stores in Toronto and different areas and sell them. And that we did. Or not we did, I did.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, I said, hey, why not start selling these things on eBay in the US? So I found a little warehouse in Buffalo that would store cargo for me, and we entered the US market, and it was a Goliath. I mean, we went from selling I think our biggest customer in Canada was doing the same volume as our smallest customer in the US.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, man, there's really an opportunity. I don't think that wouldn't it be nice if God, kind of wrote a note on a rock and rubber banded it and threw it through your window and said, do this. But sometimes life gives you these little hints. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is a hint, I'll take it. So I decided to grow and fast forward, quite a few years, I conceptualized a solar folding tonneau cover. In fact, it was my father that mentioned it, and then I kind of took the ball and ran with it. Solar folding tonneau cover. It's hybridizing trucks and solar energy. So we thought about that as a little tiny wee business, and with that little kind of idea where EVs were just starting to come to the spotlight in, let's say, 2020, around COVID. I hate saying that acronym. But then investors really picked up, and things really snowballed. So I'll give you a couple of sentences, and then
Yeah,
I'm happy to
sure.
elaborate more. But then we were able to raise significant capital, and from there I was able to go from this little 1-2 man band to let's make it in America, and let's really push the boundaries of what's possible.
Wow, I mean, it's you've compressed a lot there. I mean, a ton of experience, a ton of sleepless nights, a ton of, as you said, sort of these like eye-opening moments of like,
Hmm.
wow, there's a
Epiphanies.
big
Yeah.
market here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
where are you at now with in terms of like the facility, the number of employees, the market that you're now starting to play in?
So where we are, fast forward to today, we have a 160,000 square foot production facility that we own in Western New York near Buffalo. The area has been fantastic. The region, the state of New York's been great. We're having a great time. Good people and a good climate and a strong economy don't make it harder for you. That's for sure.
Hmm.
So we have some wind in our sails there. We're every bit of about 100 individuals working for Worksport now, somewhere anywhere between 55 to 65 production workers. The rest are upper management, mid and upper management.
Hmm.
So I built a team around me. Um, Going back all those years when I said I'm going to make a factory, that one thing that I didn't have in my long list of accomplishments was building a tonneau cover factory. So it's like I could guess my way through this, or I could find the right individuals to help me get this done. So we have a very strong group of leaders, that are really to be given credit for what I've been able to accomplish. I mean, you mentioned in the opening, 100 patents. We're closer to 200, and
Mm.
those 200 patents are being handled by Nalay Chosky, who's our general counsel now, and he's the wizard of patents. And if it wasn't for the people around me and the leaders that I have, we wouldn't be anywhere near where we are today. But we're 100 individuals, 100 staff, 160,000 square feet. We have a state-of-the-art facility in Western New York, and we're producing. We went from $0 million a few years ago to we should hit 25 million dollars this year, and then our trajectory is going to be nine figures, 100 plus $1 million in the next few years.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, it's incredible to see it all come together. And as you said, I mean, you hear many people say this, that it wasn't me. It was me with a team and great people and bringing it all together, and that sort of where that old like lightning in a bottle kind of a thing, where it's like it's just the right people at the right time, and you created something. And so I know that you had that vision for the solar, or the Solus, the solar tonneau cover for a while. Like, how long was that actually kind of in development, and is it fully on the market at the moment, or can people get
So
this?
it's yes and no. I hate answering ambiguity. I feel like a politician. I'm not going to answer your question.
You
I'm
have to
going to just say a
pivot,
lot of words.
pivot.
Pivot, yeah. So my father called me in 2014. Yeah, maybe 2014 or 2015. Said, you should make a solar tonneau cover. So that was the epiphany. It
Hmm.
was his epiphany, and I give him full credit for always being brilliant. And Lorenzo, my father, is a big part of the company now in terms of our innovations in the future. I'm actually sitting in his office here today. He's on holidays, so I'm camping out here and taking a look at all the cool things he's working on. But there was a number of years where we just didn't have the resource, we didn't have the money, we didn't have the
Hmm.
staff. Thinking about bolting solar panels to a tonneau cover seems fairly analog.
Hmm.
It's like, hey, just like screw them on and plug the wires in. But making it in a way where there's an elegance to the product takes a lot of time and a lot of money. And we really didn't come into any sort of liquidity or cash to be able to really develop the product until about 2021.
Hmm.
So from 2021 to where we are today, these 4 years have been very challenging in getting the product developed. I could say where we are today is the product is in beta testing. So beta, can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. So
Hmm.
I'll just define it clearly. We are exchanging money for products with a very select group of customers.
Hmm.
So originally we built, last year we built a handful of products, a handful of Solus covers for internal testing. And once we got them stable, like they were working and there was no challenges, no defects, they were producing the power they should, we were able to start commercializing it. But we wanted to be very careful because it's a high value item that we want to make sure when it's our mandate as a company is to get the products in the box, get the box to our customer, get it sold, stay sold, and get 5 stars for it. Right?
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
like literally the best anyone can hope for, is make sure that individual is just so happy with what you've put in front of them. So it's taken us up until now to get that done. The biggest challenge has been solar technology, photovoltaics, a huge amount of variance in terms of quality. We tried probably 100 different vendors and
Oh, wow.
manufacturers of solar panels, and it takes quite some time, right? So it's not like just, hey, ship me your solar panels. It's, find the company, have meetings, ask for a custom panel to be made that'll fit your apparatus, your design, have it shipped, receive it, implement it, test it. I mean, the process times 100 is months
Mm-hmm.
per
Mm-hmm.
vendor. So we finally dialed in on one vendor that's producing panels that are used on most of the space stations in orbit presently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
That's good
they're
pedigree.
that's a good pedigree.
Yeah.
And the Solus is now stable. I was in Missouri the other day at our R&D facilities there, and I was powering a giant, it was a 36-inch barrel fan,
Mm.
massive. And I was powering this barrel fan that was being powered by the solar tonneau cover. And the solar tonneau cover was producing more power than the barrel fan was consuming, which could cool a 2,000 square foot shop or job sites or whatever. And these are massive industrial barrel fans. But the reason why I wanted to point this little feed out is that the Solus solar tonneau cover was generating more power than the barrel fan was consuming. So
Mm.
concurrently, it was actually charging our batteries. That's net positive. That's the
Wow.
sun is literally keeping your job site cold and charging your batteries, on our battery generator system. So it took us a very long time to get solar technology that in 110-degree weather can do that. Because cheap solar, or the
Mm.
improper solar panels will degrade. They'll underperform in very hot climates, which we have a lot of hot climates here. So
Got it. Well, I wouldn't expect anything different because I know that you, from day one when we started chatting, and for those of you who don't know, Stephen has been a client in the past for a few different projects, and so I've gotten to know him pretty well. But I know that your attention to detail and your desire to create a quality product, whether it's a tonneau cover or it's a tonneau cover with solar panels or some of the other things, you don't want to be putting a crappy product out there. And so I respect the value of the beta phase to make sure that we get it right. So I'm curious. I mean, obviously, you and I know, and I haven't really sort of brought this up, but for those listening, maybe just give us a snapshot of the opportunity as it relates to solar tonneau covers on pickup trucks and the potential kind of off-grid uses. And then I know what you and I have talked about, that broader implication for, you mentioned it, sort of work sites and things like that. So maybe just a little bit about the ecosystem for those that aren't familiar.
sure, yeah, I'll touch on that, but I'm going to tack back to a point that you made
Sure.
earlier in terms of us being busy and like Worksport, and we're growing, and I was going to say, you did this, you caused this, man, all this these late hours and these investors throwing money at us and people wanting to buy stuff. This is all your fault.
Well, thank
So
you.
God bless you.
I appreciate that. I'm glad that I've put you in a position where you're keeping busy. But it's
Yeah,
helpful from my perspective. I'll put it back on you that it's helpful when there's a couple things that come into play. One, a phenomenal business and product that is doing something interesting and meaningful in the world and for the consumer. And then you and the team you've built. I mean, you and Chris have been great, and
mhm.
I've believe me, I've worked with clients that can't sort of present their way out of a wet paper bag or whatever the right analogy is, and you do a pretty good job. So
Yeah,
it does make it easier, and I just appreciate you guys and your willingness to be open to the storytelling opportunities.
yeah,
And for those of you listening, I mean, it's a complicated story to tell, and
super complicated.
Stephen and Worksport have done a fabulous job kind of pulling that together and doing it in, kind of the investor pitch, the 3-minute story, the hype reel, what do they call it? Not institutional. What's
Retail,
stepped out? Retail. There we go. Retail
retail
investor.
investors. Yeah,
Yeah. So there's a lot of variation there, but thank you, Stephen. I really appreciate
yeah.
you saying
I
that. So
wanted to say that, but to speak to kind of where this all fits in, so first we you and I kind of crafted a story where we start to say that Sony's first product was a rice cooker. So it's like, where's Sony today? And Sony can be very confusing, but it started with a basic product and a basic intention to do something very well, use that as a launching point to be able to grow into, well, whatever Sony does now, which is
Mm-hmm.
same with Worksport. We do a lot more than our rice cooker. And our rice cooker, we're tonneau covers. And it still is. It's very much so something we love. Pickup truck market, there's 60 million pickup trucks on the road. I know you know this, but I used to, my fondest memories growing up were in that pickup truck, right? We know my uncle and his red Ford. So I've always believed in the spirit of getting out there and going and doing anything and being everywhere that you want to be, and that's part of that truck. So that we make tonneau covers for trucks. It's a huge market. The number one 20% of all vehicles sold in the USA is a pickup truck, and that's growing. It was 16% a year or two ago. So we make tonneau covers. Then we thought solar panels on a tonneau cover, and then we really, that's where there was a fork. It's what can you do with solar panels on a tonneau cover? Well, option one or embodiment one would be to charge an electric pickup truck. And those are coming back in 2015 when we thought about it. Those are coming. Now they're here. And what we can provide is 5 to 10 miles of free solar energy. That's not a lot if you think about it, but the average American, especially now being more centric to home and then traveling greater distances to kind of off grid or live their life, is meaningful when the average individual drives 30 miles. We're going to take care of 33% of the energy you need on a Monday to Friday basis, on a normal basis. But then there's this fork in the road. Well, 68 million pickup trucks on the road, and they're gas or diesel. So what are they going to do? Well, we thought, let's make a battery generator that can store the power and deploy it as breakaway power. So now you have this pickup truck with a battery generator. So think of everything a gas generator can do, but without gasoline, battery. And now you have this power station that's like job site, campsite, first responder. I mean, we thought of so many things, Ashley. The individual that's doing catering trucks or food trucks, drone photography, beach parties, and in those unfortunate circumstances that are happening more frequently, like hurricanes, first responders, medical emergency, paramedics, like all of these different fields could really use, they really don't want to be bringing a 200-foot power extension cord and trying to find a plug and running a cable. So we could turn 60 million trucks into microgrids. But then there's a further division, and I'm going further ahead. And but you can ask any questions you want, of course.
Yeah.
Is then, what about people that don't have pickup trucks at all, or how could we start using this for the average individual? So, Worksport started thinking about solar arrays and battery generators for the individual that may not have a driver's license at all, but they still have a need for power. So we have our battery generator that could be used by anybody, young or old, man, woman, it doesn't matter. And then we have solar arrays that could be used on the cabin, on the cottage, on the RV, on the top of food vending, Manhattan food vendors, street vendors can use solar and battery. I was at the Honda Indy here in Toronto a few years ago, and I was in the pit crew, and it was just awful with the smell and the noise of these generators running. And at the end of the day, the pit crew were, asking, you could see them all sharing the Advils because of the headaches from the fumes and the noise. So it's like we're picturing a battery generator future where it's like solar and batteries just powering all of these events without the need for gas and oil changes and all these things. So that's kind of our tic-tac-toe: tonneau cover, solar tonneau cover, battery, broader market.
Wow. And it is huge. And you and I have talked about that, the myriad of applications for this in so many different industries, so many different places, so many different situations, and all clean, all quiet, and renewable. I mean, that is a pretty massive result, if you will. And when you start to think about that, I see you smiling, when you start to think about that globally, so much opportunity and value. And it's one of the reasons, Steven, to be frank, that I wanted to work with you, and I have enjoyed working with you, is because putting your energy behind something that is benefiting people and solving a big problem like that is what gets me excited. And I wish I had 10 people like you doing the things that you're doing, because not only would I sustain my business, but I feel so good about being able to help spread the word and have more impact.
It's oddly satisfying. It's the strangest feeling to be able to generate power from this to generate to yeah to it was the weirdest thing when I'm standing in the middle of Springfield, Missouri, with the sun beating down on me, which I'm usually people try to get out of the sun, but I'm in this and I'm watching this flat panel that was normally just a tonneau cover powering this barrel fan that's blowing my shirt off. And I'm thinking there's nothing like there's no natural gas being burned to make this power. There's no extension cords. There's no in the US we think that we're doing Mother Nature a service when we get a Tesla, but the US has been one of the slowest adopters of real clean energy, like CANDU or nuclear reactors. So there's this massive demand for energy, but then if you look at the upswing in natural gas and coal fire and oil fire power plants, aren't we just deferring the emissions from the tailpipe of a gas Honda Civic and you get an EV Honda Civic? We're just deferring those tailpipes to the smokestack, and it's just awful. So we see record heat numbers. Here in Toronto, we were hotter for longer this year than Miami was for most of the summer. That's not normal. Mother Nature's not happy. So it's like, who's going to do something about this? Well, everyone that buys a Tesla thinks they're doing their part, but they're not. So when you look at this solar panel that's going to just never make a noise, never need an oil change, never need anything other than just sun, which rises every morning and sets every night, and it'll just faithfully and loyally power whatever it can for you. It's this weird satisfaction. You're sitting there and thinking this little thing in front of you that you can just carry will power whatever it is that you need, whatever you would plug into a wall would be powered by this. It's very meaningful.
Yeah, and there's something really, when you talk about that simplicity of it, I mean, obviously a ton of work and innovation and technology and research has gone into it, but just that level of simplicity, it's like you just open it up, plug it in, and it's doing its thing, whether it's powering a radio or powering a fan or charging the batteries or whatever it is. There's a beauty in that. And, I have a design background. And so, I'm all about that simplicity. And the more things you got to plug in or dig up or process or whatever, I feel like, okay, this is getting too complicated. So I just want to take a second here and shout out. I'm trying to see who it is. It's a comment and I can't see who it is, but it says, "I'm proud to have been part of the team that worked on the solar tonneau cover design. Can't wait to own one someday. Wish you the best, Worksport." So thank you for that comment. I can't see who it is. It just says LinkedIn user, but obviously you've got a drone of loyal followers and customers, and so that's exciting.
I wonder who. I wish I could find out. There's no. So I'm not here. I even said my father thought of the idea, but there's been this myriad of individuals that have worked with us, and it was never me alone. But getting the solace and what it means out there is very meaningful. And I didn't fully answer your question. Again, I feel like a politician.
No
The
worries.
answer to the question is the solace. We just actually placed our first production run order of solar panels. So we're going to be making 1,000 of them for sale on our website, and we plan on launching them. Investors particularly can be cantankerous is the word. But they want an answer like, when? Give me a date. And it's like, well, when things have to be made and then shipped and then received and then produced, I can give you a guess, but we don't have a crystal ball. But the answer is that sometime in the second half of this year, we think closer to, like, let's say October, November is when the Solus will be produced. Oh, Maharshi. I see Maharshi's.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Maharshi was one of our engineers, and he moved on to a great role in engineering. But Maharshi was a big part of the design of the Solus, and wish you all the best, Maharshi.
Yeah, thanks for commenting. Excellent. Well, God, lots going on. So, what do you do for fun, Steven? I mean, I feel like you're probably like exceptionally busy, but I know you have a family. I know you have hobbies. Like, what do you do to get away? What do you do to recharge? No pun intended.
Yeah. Plug in and recharge is important. There's a whole bunch of different things that I enjoy, but number one is sometimes just reading and listening to music are really important things to me. I went to school in high school for music, and I was a percussionist. So people say a drummer. It's like, no, I never actually played the drums, but played everything else around them. So I love music. I love reading. And I love in the summertime. I love lake life. Like I live off of a lake, and I'm in a beautiful area that I'm blessed to be able to live in. And sometimes it's just getting my feet in the water or going
Mm-hmm.
on a boat ride or fishing with my brother is really important. On personally, just for one-on-one, I was so I was so invested in work that I really wasn't taking care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see doctors in the middle 30 in your mid 30s that say blood pressure and cholesterol and all these things, it's like once again, God doesn't write a note on a rock and throw it through your window, but they do definitely give you little hints. And it was like, I think it's time for me to start taking care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I frankly try to spend as much time as being active as possible. It's a little cumbersome because during the day I do this weird thing where I have if you've probably seen or heard of these things, I have like a walking desk, like the
Oh
walking
yeah.
pad under a desk.
Yeah.
So I was on a meeting with an investment banker in New York, and I'm usually camera off, but the camera went on by accident, and he sees me, just like slugging away on a treadmill, and he's like, "What are you up to?" And I'm like, "Nothing, camera off." But I try to get steps in. I try to get some, not like powerlifting, but I try to get some weight movement in. And that's important. And then yeah, the reading and relaxing. Family's also super important. As you get, I don't mean to generalize, but I find that as people get older, their group usually becomes more consolidated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're not going out like when I was a teenager with 100 people. It's maybe a handful of very key important people. So nurturing those relationships is important. Spending time with mom and dad is important. While they're still around, spending time with brothers and sisters and family is important. So I try to do all the wholesome stuff and then sleep where I can.
That's important though. I mean, I actually said this to a friend of mine just the other day that I remember when I was in, I don't know, elementary school or something. I was having one of those moments about friends, and she said, when you look back, you'll have 5 true friends. At 15, I'm saying, whatever, mom. But like at 52 now, I'm like, I think she's right. I'm sort of
Yeah,
like 1, 2, 3. But
yeah.
yeah,
I'm
no,
thinking.
you got to have those relationships. You got to nurture that too.
Yeah, you got to find time to go out and be a human being. I always thought about writing this book, and I have no authority to write it. I have no knowledge, but I have this idea of the 70,000-year-old you. I don't know if I ever told you this one.
No.
So the human that you could speak to, you're a relative of yours, is somewhere between 40 to 70,000 years old. Anything older than that might be a little bit too old, and you won't
Hmm.
have a lot of the brain and the mind will be different. But if you look at the 70,000-year-old you and then the you today, what similarities do you have? And then how in the timeline, when did that similarity change? So if you look at the timeline from 70,000 to you today, about 6,990, sorry, 6,900, 69,900 of those years were about the same.
Hmm.
Like mud floors, no power, hunter gathering, right? And then the last 1 or 200 years is when things really changed, maybe longer, let's say four
Yeah.
or 500 years. And that's where it was like taxes, marriage, kids, wake up at 9, go to work, all that kind of stuff. So I think that a lot of the troubles that we have as humans, like maybe anxiety, depression, stress, these
Mm.
types of nasty things, is because there's a 69,900-year-old you saying everything that you're doing, I'm not used to. I don't know this
Yeah.
food. I don't know this. I don't know what taxes are. I don't know political and social media and doom scrolling and AI and all these crazy things. So I think that if we as humankinds can spend more time doing that thing that 70,000-year-old you would have
Mm.
done. So think about the things that really fill your tank, Ashley. Bonfire,
Yeah.
music, right?
Hmm.
Fresh air, sunlight, stars, a
Sitting
good
still,
meal, sitting
sitting
still, a good
still.
socializing, maybe ale with some friends, a beer, or even
Yeah.
a drink, the peace pipe, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You aggregate all those things, and I think that it's like those are the things you should be really doing. So, and all the stuff that the 200-year-old you and newer, like things around power, not energy. I'm not saying like knocking
Yeah.
solar tunnel
Yeah.
cover,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
example, but like social media and politics and all these crazy things. I think we should just do less of that.
100%. 100%. I mean, I've often said that we as a being are not sophisticated enough to use the technology we've created.
Mhm.
And I say that when I watch someone like busy trying to text in like a big left turn lane with like a huge intersection, and I'm like, why? Who cares? Like,
Yeah.
do it later. but
Yeah.
it's sort of this culture we've got in of this like constant activity. And another thought I had in talking about health is it was a book I heard about, and the title was The Body Keeps Score.
Mm.
And so we may think that we can multitask and do all these great things and all this stuff, but the body is like you said, it's not a rock thrown through the window. It's the body kind of keeping score of like the buildup of stress and like not eating right and not being active and not sleeping. And it's like it's gonna get you. It's gonna come to roost at some point. And
Hmm.
so anyway, I appreciate that you're thinking of these things because you are working so hard. And I want to be very conscientious of time because I know we're getting to time here, but um, you've got a lot of amazing things going on. And for anyone out there who isn't familiar with Worksport, please go check them out. Fabulous company, doing great things. And so I know that you have obviously this is part of growing up and the red Ford pickup truck and those experiences that created for you and that planted a seed for you. Now, what is it that you want to be known for? You know, speaking of sort of that 70,000-year-old you versus the 200-year-old you, like, what do you want to be known for? Many years from now, when there's a legacy of Worksport and the legacy of Steven Rossi.
Well, the what you just said was the last word used is important, is creating legacy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that being remembered for making some sort of impact beyond your years is what we really could hope for. Is all we could hope for, being remembered. And what I want to be remembered for is building a business of that's focused and fat and well grounded in its culture and its
Mm-hmm.
spirit. And the spirit and culture is one that is always grounded around the user and the lifestyle. So our lifestyle is changing. Our lifestyle is eclectic. Some individuals don't do the same thing as your neighbor won't be the same as you, but
Mm-hmm.
having a suite of products that could suit those lifestyles while also making a small impact in terms of maybe how energy is produced and looking at things a little bit more green is important. So we want to be remembered for building an honest company with a strong culture of meaningful developments. I think that the byproduct may be wealth, the
Mm-hmm.
byproduct may be success, the byproducts may be money, but they're not the intention. The intention is to have something that, if one day we have a cache of core units that are available in a certain zone where God forbid has a disaster like
Mm-hmm.
a flood or whatever, and we could be part of getting people reconnected and reestablished, or saving that life, or providing light in darkness, or something to that extent. If you ask me, how much would you charge for that, it would almost be insulting. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's really not about that. It's about saying, hey, we can solve a little bit of a problem. So we want to be known for that. And I think that as we look at our clean energy solutions or new energy solutions, we're looking at being able to reach a lot of people to provide power where there may not be power. And the first thing that happens in a natural disaster, or heck, a bad enough rain or windstorm, is the power can go out to individuals, and sometimes for weeks. And if it's very hot or very cold, it could be uh, very dangerous. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to leave behind a business that actually, business doesn't even matter. I want to leave behind something that helps people be able to find clean energy where they need it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if commerce happens as a peripheral to it, that's great, and I think it will.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea is more the principle of providing a solution that's needed.
I love it. I love it. Yes. Providing, I mean, I was just, as you were describing, I was imagining a scenario where someone is in one of those flood situations, in one of those perilous moments, and to know that they can grab, a work sport core battery and a couple other things and plug it all together and then be able to go help people.
Hmm.
Or if you've got a power outage, you can get that fired up and make dinner for your family. Like
Hmm.
there's these wonderfully practical daily impacts that I see your company and your product providing. But I also think that long term, and you and I have talked about that, like providing a little bit better space, a little bit cleaner, fresher air for our kids and our kids' kids. And that is a pretty tremendous legacy, I
Mhm.
think, to try and
Mhm.
have. So, on that note, I think that's a great place to end. But I want to say thank you so much for being here, and thank you for all of the amazing work you're doing, and continued. Now that you're on this health and awareness side of your life, continued success with healthy boundaries, if you will.
Yeah. Thank you. And I appreciate it. Same to you, of course.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend. We'll have a wonderful rest of the day, and we'll see you soon.
Excellent. Thank you, Ashley.
All right. See you, Stephen. Cheers. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so glad you got to meet Steven. Steven is an incredible human being and so worthy of being on the Impact Tribe. I'm glad you all got to meet him. So thank you for tuning in. If you want to watch the replay, it'll be available on LinkedIn and YouTube, or you can listen on your favorite podcast platform. We are all over the place. And don't forget to follow or subscribe on your preferred platform. And please share with your friends. And if you like this, we've got another show coming up in 2 weeks on August 28th with my special guest, Rudy Manning. Rudy and I go way back. We actually went to college together, so lots of stories to share there. But Rudy is an award-winning creative director, designer, speaker, and educator. He's the founder and creative chief officer of Pastilla, the agency built on a belief that graphic design can bridge culture and disciplinary boundaries. From Disney and ESPN to the city of Los Angeles and Microsoft's groundbreaking Surface launch, his work has shaped some of the world's most iconic brands and campaigns. With a career spanning global stages, classrooms, and community boards, Rudy is proof that creativity, when rooted in purpose, can inspire change and connect us all. So don't miss this inspiring conversation. Again, that is August 28th. So tune in. And a big shout out to our sponsor, MakerTank. If you want to get on the exclusive Founders Waitlist, hit makertank.com today. And until next time, thanks everyone for creating a positive impact in your world. Together, we can make change happen. See you, everyone.